Hello? Are any of you guys in my class or yeah, I feel like I'm in this wrong Zoom. Yeah, I'm gonna try again. Goodbye. Um, Someone just please speak. Same thing again. Wait, is this different people? No, it's not different people. Victoria's still there. Five is two me's.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. If you could hear me, just say good afternoon in the chat to confirm. We're gonna get started shortly.
Oh, thank God, it's the right class.
Just a few reminders. One, we don't use our mics in class. We use the chat to communicate, to answer questions, to ask questions. Um, we we understand that each person is responsible for communication because I can't see your facial expressions, I can't see your books. So it's important for you to share with me or tell me whether or not you want me to go over something or explain it in a different way, because that's the only way to ensure that you learn. On Sundays, we're going to be doing topics that we will not be doing in class. So it's really important to not miss class. So thank you guys for being here and being on time. We're going to start shortly. And when it comes to these notes, you're not going to write these notes behind the notes that you have in your book. So I would recommend you go to the middle of your book, because this topic would span over maybe 2 or 3 Sundays, so that when you're studying, your notes not all over the place or scattered between what you're writing in class and what you're writing online. If you got it, say got it. So I'll repeat it again for anybody who just joined. You're going to go to the middle of your book. So let me just write this here. So I'm going to write mathematics. So this is how you're going to head up mathematics. And then you're going to put online session. And this online session right in the middle of book. In middle of book. Now, the reason I decided to do this is because what this gonna help us do is cover more topics faster, so that we have more time coming down closer to the exam to just practice, right? Usually I use Sunday sessions to go over past paper exams, but I figured the smartest approach, the best approach for you is to just cover as much topics that we can in first term, and then we finish up in second term. So third term would just us be capping up the last set of questions and revision, okay? All right, so our topic for today is consumer. And consumer, like I mentioned in class, has to do with money. It is actually one of the biggest topics in the exam or on the syllabus, but it is only the second half of question number one. Second half of question number one. So the truth is, once we finish this, we could answer any question number one on any past paper question. Currently, we're on algebra in class, which is question number 2. So that means by the end of October, we should be done with question number 1 and question number 2, and hopefully already starting question number 3. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to outline all of the topics that we're going to cover. And as we finish them, we're going to tick them off. So you need to have your book, a pencil, a pen, and your calculator, because this topic has a lot of calculations. A lot of calculations. So set up yourself. We're gonna get started now, okay? I know we try to say we're gonna start at 5:30, but when I saw how much topics we gotta cover, it really makes sense for us to start a little earlier so we could do more. All right, so I'm just gonna play some music so we could copy down and note the topics while we wait for everybody else to join class, right? Also just a heads up, this week, we're gonna start practicing some paper ones. As we cover a topic, I will pull questions on those topics from paper 1. So please do some revision, because I may just pop up multiple choice pop quiz, maybe like 10 questions. So make sure you know how to round off significant figures, rounding off to decimal places, standard form, all of that good stuff, okay?
DJ Tyler. Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide. I'm gonna find you and take it slowly. Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide. Gonna find you and make you want me.
Now that I escape, sleep, walk away.
Yeah.
Those who go what they do, the world they kick. Jail bars ain't go. Things those who fake they break. When they meet their 400-pound baby, if I can prove everyone would have a gun and together, of course, we get deep. Yo, big rhymes, drinking moonshine. I pour sick. For the free, but it is cease for no, don't we? My clubs in the state of sleep, thinking about the robbery that I did last week. Money in the bag, bank to look like the track. I wanna play with pelicans from in the bag, yeah. Gun blast, think fast, I think I'm hit. My girl pinched my lips to see if I still exist. I think not. I'll send a letter to my friends. A born again, the hooligan, only to be king again.
Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide. Gonna find you and take it slowly. Ready or not, here I come. Can't hide. Gonna find you. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You be like heaven inside. I wanna hold you so much. Have long legs, love and ride. And I thank God I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. But in the way that I stand, there's nothing else to compare. Your side of the police and we. There are no words that seem sweet, but if you feel like I feel, please let me know that it's real. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off you. If it's quite alright, keep you baby. To all the lonely nights, I love you, baby. Trust in me when I pray, oh, baby. It's okay. Don't let me down, I pray. Oh, really, baby. Now that I found you, stay and let me love you. Oh, baby, let me love you. Oh, you're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You be like heaven to touch. I wanna hold you so much. As always, love that you ride. And I thank God I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. And if it's quite alright, I don't need to baby. You all the lonely night, don't I love you, baby. Trust in me when I say it's okay. Oh, pretty baby, don't let me down. Oh, pretty baby,
That's why. I'm gonna zoom in just now. It's Best Buy. So I'm gonna explain each one and what it means. So once we start doing it and we start learning it, it should be easy to follow.
DJ Tyler.
All right, guys. So this is the list of all the topics on the consumer. As you see, it's a few things, and all of them have hold on. A question, can anybody hear me? Could you guys hear me? Patients, if you can't hear me, that means it's your connection. So what you may have to do is go to where the mic is, there's a little arrow, and look for the speaker setting and make sure it's connected to the correct speaker, okay? Because sometimes that is the issue. All right, so I'm gonna run through the list of topics and what each one of these things mean as you guys rate. So the first thing we're gonna do today is percentages, because to be honest, it's a part of almost all of these topics. So there are certain skills that you must have that you could use with your calculator and without your calculator, which is why I told you guys it's really important to make sure you have your calculator on hand and ready to go. So we're gonna learn percentages, ratio, rates, proportion. And obviously we should know what ratio is. If I have 2 shares, you have 1. And my share, if the shares double, you should know I have 4 shares. That means we have 2. We're gonna get into that. How something is shared is usually in a ratio. So if I have 5 objects and I got 2 persons, I need to share 2 objects into the 5 objects into 1 person who got 1 and 1 person who got 4. The other option is 1 person can have 2, the other person has 3. And there are different elements to ratios that we're gonna learn. Rates Rates mean I know I have $2 for 3 pencils. That's the rate. We could find out how much is the cost for one, or we understand that the pencils are sold in pairs. And so you should be able to find out how much 3 pairs cost, how much 6 pairs cost, once you know the cost of one pair. Proportion is where you are given a balanced quantity and then you have a missing quantity that you have to find using the information that they give you. That is probably extremely important because you use that concept, proportion. So I'm just gonna underline it because it's extremely important. You usually use proportion in a lot of the topics, to be honest, when you're finding unknown quantities. So remember, when I speak about proportions, that this is something we're going to use a lot. Best Buy. Best Buy means you go to one store, like let's say you go Rams and you want to buy, let's say, milk. And on the shelf, you got 3 options, 3 different sizes, 3 different prices. No, let's say you want 5 liters, but what you have 1 liter options, you have a 5 liter option. Best Buy means, does it make more sense or is it cheaper to buy the 5 small ones or buy the 1 big one? Sometimes buying the 5 small ones may be cheaper than buying the 1 big one, or the 1 big one is cheaper than buying the 5 small ones. So this is where you would do some calculations to determine an equal quantity to determine which one is the best buy, which is the cheapest option. Everybody know profit and loss. Everybody know what tax and discount is. Well, should know, because these are the things we tend to interact with in society the most. That's the most used topics. Then we have finding the original price. This too is something students tend to forget. So I'm gonna make sure I highlight this because it is extremely important, especially for paper 1, where somebody can say you paid $20 for a shirt, but that $20 include VAT. How much is the shirt without VAT? How much is the original cost of the shirt before you add on VAT? So you have to be able to go backwards and calculate the original cost of items. And then we have hire purchase. Hire purchase is something you would see a lot in courts, Hosfords, TDC. I want to go into Hosfords and I want to buy a printer, but I don't have all the money to buy the printer full cash. What Hosfords or courts gonna tell me, okay, if you give us a down payment or you pay down something, we will let you leave with the printer. And every month you would have to pay something until you pay the full price of that for the printer. That's what you call hire purchase. And I'm saying it from now. Hire purchase is always more expensive than if you buy something cash, because it's almost like these businesses doing you a favor by giving you this item without allowing you to pay the full price, but they charge you more. That more is what we call the interest, and you're gonna hear about that word a lot, interest. Interest is that extra money you pay for convenience. So now that we speak about interest, there are 2 types of interest that we're gonna interact with. The first one, which is the most common one, is simple interest, and the next one is compound interest. Based on the exam traditions or trends, for the past 2 to 3 years, they brought a compound interest question. And for some reason, students don't do well on this at all. So we're gonna make sure everybody can answer compound interest question, especially because it's a little harder than a simple interest question. Now, I'm gonna explain the difference between the 2 when we get here, because it don't make sense for me to open up that can of worms now, right? The next one is wages. Wages speaks about how people get paid when they do a job per week. So somebody, you do a job, you work 40 hours a week. How much money do you get paid for that 40 hours that you work? That's what you call your wage. And then from your wage, you will get your salary. And these are the things we're gonna discuss and learn all the formulas. Foreign exchange is when somebody gives you money in one currency. So for example, if I give you some US and you want to change it back to EC, there's a certain way to do so. Appreciation and depreciation, obviously. One is the increase value of an object and one is the decreased value of an object. And just to give you an idea of what these objects can be, land. If you buy a piece of land, the value of that land now will be nothing like what it could be in the next 10 years. The value would increase by a lot, right? So if you buy a land, let's say for $5,000, in 10 years, you could sell that land for almost $10,000. I just giving you an example of figures, right? And depreciation, an object that usually depreciates is a vehicle or a car. Because if I buy a car for $10,000 and I don't drive the car for years, obviously the value of the car over time because of the wear and tear on the car is going to decrease the value of said car. And then, utility bills. Utility bills is things like phone bill, water bill, electricity, stuff like that. All right, so everybody check in with me. Are you guys done copying down the topics that we're gonna start doing on Sundays? If you're done, say done. If you're not finished, you have to say not finished so I could know. So we're gonna get started with mastering percentages. I'm watching the chat and I see we have 26 people here. So I need everybody to respond. Okay, so we're not finished. Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys a few more minutes. Please know that as soon as y'all come to class, I need to see your books. So it's important to make sure you copied on everything that you need to have, okay? Just a heads up, everybody know that the last CXC exams for maths was the lowest pass rate in a long time. I think over 5 to 7 years, the lowest. And it was not because the exam was hard. It was because students fail to develop thinking. So you're gonna notice, guys, I'm gonna give you a lot of things to develop your thinking, okay? A lot of my students passed last term and it just goes to show they did what I said. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the students that did not do what I asked them to do, that did not complete the activities that I asked them to complete were the ones who failed. So please do it for yourself. Please don't get demotivated when something gets difficult. This is something that you should consider as a personal challenge and everybody's capable of passing. I am going to give you 100, so give yourself 100. All right, so let's get started. For those who are not finished, take a picture because we gotta go. We gotta get started. All right, so first topic we're gonna head up. Let me just go up in this corner is percentages. Before we even start on percentages, I want to show the connection between 3 important things that you need to know. Fractions, decimals, and percentages. When you know the connection between these 3 things, calculations will be so easy, so much faster. Do you know that all 3 things are exactly the same thing except represented in different ways? Because think about it, a fraction in a piece of something. So if I say I have a half, it's a piece of that whole. Similarly, a decimal is a portion of a whole as well. So I'm just going to use a half as an example because all of us should know how to represent a half. In each case, we would write a half as a fraction. How? Drop it in the chat quick. Anybody who think they know, how do we represent a half? And to be honest, it's pretty straightforward. Thank you. So that would be 1/2. How would I represent a half as a decimal? Excellent, 0.5. How do I represent a half as a percent? So I have half of my choice. What percent is that? Excellent, 50%. Now, how do I convert one to the other back and forth? This is how you do it. Okay, so if I want to convert a fraction into a decimal, anybody remember how we're supposed to do this? You're supposed to divide the numerator by the denominator. So everybody take a calculator and put 1 divided by 2. So this literally means 1 divided by 2. Check it now, let's go. And you see that gives you 0.5. If you got it, say got it. Right now, nobody should be writing it. Everybody should just got a calculator in their hand and listening, watching, and learning. Because what we're doing is we are giving you skills that you're gonna need. But you see, when I start teaching you the bigger topics, these are things I'm not going over again, okay? All right, so we have the fraction to decimal part lock. Now, decimals, how do I change anything to a percent, whether fractions or decimals? What do you do to change something to a percent? Anybody know? To change anything to a percent, whether a fraction or decimal, you multiply by 100, whether it's 100 over 1 or 100 solely. So to change to a percent, you multiply by 100. Now, what does the word percent mean? So a lot of people don't know this. The word percent is literally cent. Per means out of, and I need to write this because this word has come a lot. Per means out of. So things like this is what we're gonna always write to the side, but these are things we need to know. Then, how much sense make a whole, everybody? How much sense make a whole? Excellent. So percent means out of 100. So percent means out of 100. So it is easy for us to represent a percent as a fraction and similarly change that to a decimal. So I'm going to show you a quick example. So let's just do a little table here, between the three, right? So let's start off with a percent. If I got 20%, nobody rating, we watching. If I got 20%, what does 20% mean? 20 out of 100. We know about fractions. We cannot leave this like that, right or wrong. So what do? We cancel. When you have zeros at the top and the bottom, that could be the easiest cancel that you do. That means you're dividing by 10 on both, up and below. No, 2 and 10. 2 and 10 are even numbers, so we could use 2 to cancel. So let's cancel again. So I'm just doing it in stages so that you can see. So we could cancel again. 2 into itself goes once, 2 into 10 goes 5 times. So this is how we do the conversion. If you got it, say got it. Now, how is this 2 out of 100 gonna help me again? When we learned place values, remember that handout I gave y'all for homework, which I think we marked in class? If I tell you 20 out of 100, doesn't this mean 20 hundredths? But don't get confused because I could cancel this 10. So that would be 2 out of 10. What is this as a decimal? Isn't this 0.2? Everybody see how we did that? Let's do a quick example going backwards. Let's start from a decimal. Let's start using a decimal. Suppose I had 0.3. What does 0.3 means? As a fraction, easy. What does 0.3 means? This is 3/10. So that means this would be what? 3 over 10. Can I cancel this? No, because 3 is a prime number, so it can't cancel with any other numbers. This would just be a fraction. Now, look at this. How do I change this to percent? Let's go from here to here. What do we do to change to a percent? And just multiply by 100. Everybody agree? Calculators. Calculators. 0.3 times 100 gonna give you what? 30%. Now that we're here, I need to quickly show you something that you need to know. Decimals times 100, times 10. So let me just write the topics. Multiplying. This is something that's gonna save you in paper 1. Even in paper 2, it can kind of help you a lot. By 10, 100, 1,000. We know when we have a whole number, right? All this is revision, eh? If I have any whole number, 121 times 10, we know that all we have to do is what? Just add on a 0. If it's times 100, how much zeros is that? 2 zeros. If it's by 1,000, it would be what? 3 zeros. Do we agree? But that's whole numbers. What do you do with decimals? When it's decimals, it's a little different. What happens now is that the point jumps. So I just did this as a quick reminder. You see, we're doing 20 things at once. We're doing 20 things at once. So this is just a reminder. Don't worry, I'm going to give you time to copy down all of this. I just need you to focus right now. So that's a reminder. So there are some rules that you need to know when you're multiplying by a decimal by 10, 100, or 1,000. When you're multiplying a decimal by 10, it's 1 jump. Which direction we affiliate with increasing, right or left? Because you should know that maths have symmetry. It tends to be the same no matter what topic is a concept. When we increase in, what direction gives us the increase? Right or left? Excellent. So 1 jump to right. And always back check it because sometimes we have exceptions, right? If multiplying by 10 is 1 jump, what would multiplying by 100, how much jumps would that give us? May teach you that, but you should be able to look and decide. Excellent. 2 jumps to the right. Similarly, by 1,000, it would be how much jumps? 3 jumps to the right. So let me ask you this now. We know that division is the opposite of multiplication. So if when you multiply, you jump to the right, when you divide, what direction do you anticipate jumping? Excellent job, everybody. Excellent job. That's what we're talking about. And this is the kind of thinking you must always have. Let's say in a situation you don't remember something. Think about something related to it. Because sometimes that's the thing that's going to help you remember, right? So this would be 1, I don't know where I write 2. 1 jump to left. 2 jump to left. 3 jumps to left. So we're gonna stop right here for you to copy down everything I have here on the board, ladies and gentlemen. When you are done, just say done. Everybody can see everything, right? No, let me also tell you something, right? Just while y'all writing, because some people think, well, what we gotta know all these things for? You have to think about, there's a reason why maths is the hardest subject to pass out of all the subjects in the CXC list. Because they no longer bring questions that you could practice and study for. No, if you think you could just sit down with a textbook or sit down with a book and just or pass papers and go in the exam and pass, not gonna happen. What it does now, it tests your thinking, right? It's gonna give you things that you have to be able to figure out. You have to critically figure it out. You would only be able to do so if you know the basic things, because the basic things is like it's like you're going in the forest without an axe. But how you gonna get through the bush? You gonna get stuck. You're gonna dead in the bush without your tools. That's why people is going to the exam and put their head on the table because they're going in thinking because they do 40 past papers, that's enough. It is not. So something I want you to do is always think about it. Think about left, think about right, think about up, think about down. That is what is going to help you do well. That is what is going to help you pass. Okay? And you're going to see even the way you operate in your life going to be better. Because people just ask me all the time, how you just know how to do this? How you just know how to do that? I just do everything for myself. I just build, I just make things, I just do all kind of madness. And the reason I could say I could do those things is because of how I think. I could sit down and watch something and be like, I know how to build this. I could build this myself because of the critical thinking skills that I have. And this is only because I'm good at math. I promise you, right? Facts. And you got to think of CXC like the B or CXC is intentionally coming to stress students out. And I kind of understand why too, because what they've been saying over the years is that all these students passing with these subjects and they have no skills. They can't think. They can't think. Give them a question, a puzzle. They can't figure out the puzzle. Well, what you went to school for? Just to memorize things and that's it? You're on struggle in life. So don't look at CXC maths as something that's beyond your skills. Look at it as something that you gotta step your thing up for it. Okay? How we looking? Almost done, almost there. Almost. While you are writing it down, learn to memorize as you write. Memorize these rules as you write. Multiplying by decimals means jumping the points. How do I change a fraction to a decimal? I divide the numerator by the denominator. And how you know this easy? The clues right there. If you got 1/2, you should know what 1/2 means. 1/2 literally means 1 divided by 2. You want to change a decimal into a fraction, use the place values. So if it's 5/10, it's 5/10. Percent means out of 100. So the percent they give you out of 100. Everybody else, how we looking? How we looking? So you guys got 1 more minute because we gotta go. So if you need to take a screenshot or take a picture, if you need to take a screenshot or take a picture, take it now. All right, so everybody who's not finished, try to take a screenshot now because we're gonna move on, okay? All right, so calculators in your hand. We're gonna do some practices when it comes to percentages. So the first thing I need to teach you guys is how to find a percent of an amount. So this is the first thing we're gonna be doing, one, and this is a huge thing. Finding, so you can write with me for this one, finding a percent of an amount. So example A, examples. Find $20 of $40. All right, so just pause for cause. No, this is easy how it is, but because of what we're gonna learn next, it's important to understand what this means. First thing first, we know what 20% means. 20% means 20 out of 100. Everybody agree with that? Of means to multiply. And $40 is a whole number. How do we write $40 as a fraction? 40 over 1. So I want to zoom in here because I want to show you two things we're going to learn how to do. We're going to learn how to do this the long way for paper 1, and then we're going to learn to do this the short way with our calculators. The first thing you need to do is that you have several zeros, so you need to cancel. Please note, you could only cancel in pairs, right? So when I look at this, I could cancel up and down or diagonally, and you should remember how to cancel because we did fractions, right? So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to cancel up and down. So this is my first cancel. That's one cancel because we cancel in pairs. Can I cancel again, everybody? Do I have another pair of zeros? Yes, I have another pair of zeros. So that means I could cancel that. You always cancel your zeros, okay? Once you have pairs. No, can I cancel again? We know we cannot because we cannot cancel going from left to right. The only thing I could do from left to right is say 2 times 4 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1. And so my answer is $8. You see, because we're doing consumer now, if you are asked to find 20% of $40, your answer is going to be in dollars. You must write dollars. Now, calculators in your hand. How do you type this in to just get straight to your answer? If you're ready with your calculator, say ready so I can see. All right, we type in together. 20, because the first thing is 20 divided by 100. So type that in now. 20 divided by 100. Then you're going to press times 40, and then you're going to click your equal sign. And that should give you your answer directly. Confirm if you get $8, please. If you got it, say got it. That is how you use your calculator to go straight to your answer immediately. Now, this is the trick about paper 2 people. Because they want to see working, if they ask you to find something, please to write this and do your little scratches, like pretend at least, and then you write your answer with your calculator. Do not just write equal $8 because you just lose out on max there. All right, let's do another one. Obviously, we're gonna go a little harder. 8.5% of $10. No, we have a decimal. No, this is different. So what do? I stick to the same thing that I was doing the whole time. 8.5% means what? Let me make it even easier. Let me put times 1,000. What does 8.5% mean? 8.5, even though it's a decimal, 8.5, because it's percent, it is out of 100 times, because that's what of means, 1,000 over 1. I'm going to do this. I'm going to ask you to do this with your calculator to give me an answer. Post your answer, and then I'm going to show you how to do it the long way. So let me see how much different answers we get, or if we all get the same thing. Okay, somebody say 85. Do we all confirm? Because listen, if you type it in your calculator and you're not getting 85, that means your calculator either need resetting or you're not doing it correctly. So I need everybody to confirm that that's what they're getting. 85. You and your calculator have to be best friends. You have to know, you can count on your calculator to give you the right thing. Excellent job. How do I do this the long way though? So let's go. What would you do first here, people? And just Scratch off the zeros. Let's go. So I know I got 2 zeros here and I got 2 zeros at the bottom. So that's 2 cancels. So what do I have left back? 8.5 times 10. I don't know how to multiply 8.5 times 10. This ain't a decimal times 10. What do we do with the point if we know we're multiplying a decimal by 10? We move the point once to the right. So the point jumps from in between here to behind. So this would give me 85 flat, because if the point is in the back, isn't this a whole number? So it's the same thing as $85 direct. If you got it, say got it. Yeah? Excellent. 2. Let's do another easy one. 13% of $100 of $10. Let's go. Let's set it up. First of all, put this in your calculator. Tell me what you get. We're practicing this. And remember, it's money. So let's make sure we understand it's money. How many DPs should our answer have because we're dealing with money? How many decimal places should our answer have because we're dealing with money? That's why I asked the question. What is 1.3 in money? I don't know what that is. What does this mean? Would you ever see this on your receipt? Exactly. Everybody see what I'm talking about now? The answer is 1.3, but because you're dealing with money, you cannot put 1.3. You should know that 1.3 is the same thing as $1.30. This is what we talk about, the thinking part, right, guys? So we get in there. So let me demonstrate how do we work this out without a calculator. Now I'm gonna tell you something now, right? I'm gonna be honest with you. Paper 1, the first set of questions, well, the second set of questions is usually consumer, and it's actually the most questions on the paper. Because consumer is so big and it only half of a question in paper 2, CXC balances that out by bringing a lot of those questions in paper 1. So there's a lot of questions you have to calculate without a calculator, and it deals a lot of times with these kind of things. So that is why I'm emphasizing the need to be able to do this with your calculator and without your calculator. That's why when people need paper 1, that is like, paper 1 was easy. No, it was not, because you make a lot of mistakes. You get a lot of things wrong. So let's go. 13 out of 100 times 10 over 1. I could cancel my zeros, right? So watch this. Back, that's 1 cancel. What do I have left back? 13 times 1 is 13 over 10. Everybody agree? What does this mean? This mean 13 divided by 10. No, even though there's no point, isn't there a way for me to put a point here and then jump this to the left? Agree or disagree? Where would I put the point? Where would I put a point? To make 13 into a decimal. That means I'm not thinking. I want to change 13 to a decimal. Where do I add the point without changing the number? Where do I add a point without changing the number? If I add a point here, it's no longer 13, it's 1.3. Where do I add the point? If I add the point in front, this is now 0.13. Everybody see what I'm saying now? It must be real. It must be added at the back. It's still 13. All I did was add a point, but it's still 13. Now I could divide, because we know what direction should I jump if I'm dividing? Right or left? Left. How much times? Once. Boom. So I jump it once. So that's how I get my $1.30. If you got it, say got it. Let me tell you right now, these is things students just can't do a week before the exam. You know how I know? Every year I do free online sessions for students in other schools, in other classes, and the things that has messaged me and tell me, Miss V, I just learned this for the first time. Madness. These are the things you got to know from the jump. These are the things you must know from the beginning. All right. So, question: did you guys get to copy down these examples? Because these are the first basic examples that I needed to touch on. So what we just did was find a percent of an amount. What we're gonna move on to now is expressing an amount as a percent or changing numbers to percentages, which is completely different. To changing quantities to percentages. To percentages. This is how that question has come. I'm going to just write some terms that you should expect to see. Express as a percent, show as a percent. These are the same things. All of these things mean the same things, right? Don't let the verbiage, and verbiage just means how the word question throw you off, okay? All right, my peoples, if you're ready, say ready. No, because reading, and you're not gonna keep it 100% honest with you guys, because reading is most people's challenge, and based on my observation, it is one of you guys' challenges. I want you all to pay attention to how certain things are phrased, right? Because we're gonna do a quick activity at the end just to test this theory. It says express 5 as a percent of 20. This is how I want you to understand what this means. This is a fraction they give you, you know. Which number would you put as the denominator? Would you think the 20 is the denominator or the 5 is the denominator? Why you choose 20? Did you choose it because it's bigger? All right, let me change this question then. Express 20 as a percent of 5. So this is a question for everybody. Which one is the, I should do both of them. I should do both of them minutes to show you the difference between the two. So we could see. So express 20 as a percent of 5. So we're going to do both of them and I'm going to show you why. They say they want this as a fraction in, almost like saying as a percentage out of. Everybody see that? If they say of 20, that mean it is coming out of the 20. If you got it, tell me. I see somebody say of. Excellent. Everybody see what I mean? 5, they say express 5. So 5 is the topic. 5 is the main event. So that's why 5 gonna be the numerator. And they want 5 as a percent out of the 20. So that's just why 20 goes to the bottom. And how do we change anything to a percent? We multiply it by what? 100 over 1. So how would I do this one as a fraction? What's the fraction for this one, people? Anybody could drop it. At least one person needs to at least tell me. What is 20 as excellent? Excellent. So that would be 20 out of 5 times 100 over 1. So let's do our calculations here. First, let's do 0 Please note that you need to know these pairs of numbers. 4 quarts make $1. So 4 times 25 is 100. So what? So I want you to know that also you should know that it means that 100 divided by 4 is 20. 100 divided by 25 is 4. We should know that, right? Similarly, the next pair that you must know is that 5 times sorry, not 5 times 100, 5 times 20. 5 times 20 is 100. These two pairs you must know. It has come a lot in paper one. You must know that. Okay? So I'm just gonna put it, I like to put things in the box. These are the pairs you must know out your head. Okay? So the first thing I know here, if I cancel in, is that 20 could go into itself once and 20 could go into 100 5 times. You could do it the long way if you want. So I'll do it the long way just in case. So I cancel the zeros. 2 into itself goes once, 2 into 10 goes 5 times, right? So what is our answer? 5 times 5, which is 25. 25 what? What did they ask us to do? Express as a percent. So your answer is 25%. Same thing here. 5 into itself goes once. 5 into 100 goes 20 times. Now, everybody, I want you to pay attention. I want to show you something. I want to teach you 2 shortcuts to fast multiplication and fast division using no calculator. Everybody watching? Everybody locked in, I should say? I'm watching the screen and I'm paying attention to those people who are answering. Because what I'm noticing is that it's the same people answering. And what I'm going to do, if I'm not seeing you respond in the chat, I'm going to remove you from class. You have to respond at least every now and again, even if you don't respond to everything. Try to answer at least most of the times, okay? So there we go. Anytime you got multiplication like this, it's so easy to do by doing this. 2 times 2 is 4. How much zeros left back? 1, 2. You add them zeros. Over 1, which is 400. Everybody see how I did that? You're multiplying 2 times 2 is 4. And then you add the zeros, the number of zeros that you have, you add them again. I like to teach students tricks and easy things to get things done fast, okay? All right, so let's move on. So let me know if you guys have these 2 notes, these 2 examples. If you're done, or whenever you're done, say done, and we're moving on. If you're not done, take a picture because we gotta move on. What time it is? 6 o'clock already. So my peoples, when we in class, when we doing tests, because you're gonna do some practice tests with me, because I need to see how some of you operate. I know some of you just panic, some of you just go blank, some of you just doubt yourself, so some of you just write the right thing anyway, sitting and put the wrong things. So some of these things we're gonna have to practice and overcome, but you use these skills to help build your confidence. Honestly, I just going with the people for now. We said 6:30. If anybody want to do more, we could do more, right? Let's see how much because so far, let's go back to our checklist. What have we done so far? Percentages. Yeah. So the next thing we're going to do now is ratio and proportion. So head up. And I think only those 2 things we're going to do tonight. Ratio, those 2 points. So we're going to do ratio, rates, and proportion now. So that at least we could do that. So we accomplished something tonight. Okay. So that's all. That's all okay, guys? So ratio first. All right, give me 2 minutes. Let me just pull up something there. I want some reggae. What is this? I can just keep out of my head because I can't find one.
Only thing them call a broken heart is blessed love will never part. They don't know it from the start. I tell them say I'm dirty.
Sure.
Sean
Ask a
Paul and
question.
Sasha, come sing for them, baby.
I just need 2 more minutes.
You're listening to DJ Deja.
I say no. When I'm up in a player, they know I'm not to stay. They try to understand it. The man is just a man. You don't say no.
Remember, there's another class in here, eh?
They know it not the fight. That's the way I get my love. What a man, you gotta do. What a man, you gotta do. Girl, when I have my heart for province, you know, bling bling for all the girl. When I don't say loving when me play controller, girl. I make your head twirl, I make your body twirl, I make you wanna be my one and only baby girl. Next time tonight, make it feel up to keep you warm. Girl, you never get this kind of loving from your bond. I know you want your cat, let me just never come.
Okay. The only people who got homework is the people who I gave the yellow papers to. Some people didn't get it, so if you didn't get it, you have no homework. Group 2, which is Tuesdays, group gonna get it on Tuesday. If you missed the class that I gave it out, you would just be given it whenever you come class, and you have 1 week to complete, okay? All right, so let's go. Ratio is a comparison, so write with me, and then we go from there.
Well, I'm upset in the player, they know I'm not to say that.
Speaking things like Cinderella. Says she flirt with her boyfriend, but she him up money and bling, so she go baby deal. Get busy, no it started spreading. She can't see when it's selling, she's dying. Mercy please, for life she begging. When she gets to the mark, she heading. Says she broke out at the age of 7, she dancing before she reached 11. One man can satisfy her. She needs more wood for the fire. 6 months getting higher. From more money she require. Outscoring length she desire. So from the prostitution, no, she won't retire. The flex seller and the buyer. Said she want the man to take her to the movie. Then I'm let her set the fire for the movie. Said she not care about cuts and bruises. That's just the way she chose it. Said she needs someone to bring her autumn, summer, winter, spring, cash. Carnival splash and spring cash. New hairstyle, nails and bling cash. She's doing business, just bring cash. One man can't satisfy her. She needs more wood for the fire. Next price getting higher. Some more money she require. Outscoring like she desire. So from the prostitution, what you won't retire. I was feeling
All right, guys. Let's do this together. All right. So first thing first is that I want you to know that you could represent ratios as a fraction. So for example, this could mean we usually say 2 to this dot there, we pronounce it as 2. So this ratio is called 1 to 3. This ratio is called 4 to 6. All right. Sometimes ratio could represent a fraction, or sometimes it could represent how something is shared out or how something is distributed. So in some cases, 2 to 5 could actually be represented as 2 out of 5 is equal to dash over 10. No, this is just a simple thing. Nothing about this. You even need to like stress yourself about, because this is something that comes in paper one and you just got to remember what. No, these two sides are balanced, right? You know, you have a first number and you have a second number. You need to find out the relationship between the first group and the second group. So which two numbers do we have from both groups? We got a second number from both groups. So the question is, how do we move from 5 to 10? Or even better, let's use this version. How do we move from 5 to 10? Anybody? Is there a number I could multiply to 5 to get 10? Excellent. Whatever you do to the bottom, because this is a unit, if I multiply by 2 to the bottom, I got to multiply by 2 to the top. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So what would my answer be? My answer would therefore be what? 4. Everybody see that? So multiply by 2, multiply by 2. Multiply by 2, multiply by 2. So let's do the next one. This is 1 to 3. So let's look at what numbers they gave us. In this example, they gave us the first number in the pair. How do I move from 1 to 2? I multiply by 2 again. So what would be my missing number, people? Excellent, 6. Let's do the next one now. This is different now. You realize we got to go backwards, but let's see which two pairs we have. We got 3 and 6. How do I go from 6 to 3? Or how do I move from 3 to 6? I had to multiply by 2, or you divide. Excellent. You're going the opposite direction. So obviously you got to do the opposite operation, which is division. What number do I divide 6 by to get 3? So whatever you do on one side, you do on the other side. So that means, what is my missing answer? 5. All I want is the answer from D. People post your answer for D, please. What do you think the answer for D is? That's 1, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And y'all have a calculator in your hand, eh? Y'all have a calculator in your hands. So I want everybody back, check it. Which two numbers they gave us? They gave us the second two. So that's 7 and 21. How do I go from 21 to 7? What number do I divide 21 by to get 7, people? I divide by 3. That mean I got to divide 9 by 3 as well. So what is my answer? My answer is 3. Copy down now, let's go. Once you're done, sit down. I'm gonna start off ratio using that easy sharing quantities. into a ratio. So I'm going to teach this using an example. And then I'm going to write the steps after. So nobody should be writing for this. Maybe you could write this down so long. Yeah, copy this down with me. Copy this down with me so long. So that way, once we finish work it out, we are done together.
You're locked in with your favorite DJ, DJ Styles. Follow DJ Styles on Facebook and Instagram at DJ Styles Music. DJ Styles. She was love at first sight. She was beautiful to my eyes. I asked her if she thought she tell me the topics. She asked me what's my name. I tell her I am funny. Just said her, tell me what's your name. Tell me that her name is Jamaica. And I respect my girl, smile. Smile for me, Jamaica. And I respect smile. Girl, smile. Ooh, smile for me, Jamaica. You never should cry. Yeah, I'm here for you, Jamaica. Ride your ride, take your smile. Smile for me, Jamaica.
All right, guys, let's go. Lock in. Pause for cause wherever you reach. No. A few things that are small details, but it makes a difference between getting the question right and getting the question wrong. So here we have $300 is shared between Kim and Pam in a ratio of 2 to 3, right? This sentence gave us a few certain details that we're gonna need. First thing I'm gonna ask you is, you have to pay attention to the order in which they indicate certain things. So if they give you Kim first, that means when it comes to the ratio, that means Kim's share comes first. If Pam comes second, that means Pam's share comes second. So quick question for everybody. How much shares does Kim have? Excellent. And how much shares does Pam have? Excellent, period. Now, how much shares are there in total? So how much things gain share up in all? Simple, because we know total means to add, and obviously that means we got to add the 2 and the 3. So the next question is calculate each person's money. Now, step 1 is to identify 2 matching quantities. And as we do more examples, you're going to understand what I mean. So writing the steps to the side. Identify 2 matching quantities. That word don't look like matching. Sorry about that. Now here, what are the 2 things we have? It's always the shares and the object that they give you. Because sometimes it don't have to be money, right? Sometimes it could be apples, it could be whatever. So shares and object. In this case, our object is money. Everybody with me so far? So let me underline what quantities we have. Look at the numbers we have here. They gave us the shares and they gave us this money. Now, we have to match them. So for example, what does $300 represent? Does $300 represent somebody's share of all the money, the total money? Exactly. So since we were given the total money, we have to match it with the total share. So that's why we're gonna start off with total shares is equal to total money. So if you got it, say got it. Make sure everybody with me. You got to balance it. You got to put it two things that equal to each other. You got to match them. So if they give you the money, you know, okay, all right, I get a total money. That means I have to match it with the total shares. So what two quantities should be on it here then? That means that 5 shares, that don't look like no 5. Oh my God. 5 shares is equal to $300. So that's step 1. Step 2 now is to find 1 share by dividing. And it's so easy because look at this. We're starting off with this same statement. So 5 shares is equal to $300. If I want 1 share, how do I change 5 into 1 and divide it by itself? Agree or disagree? So I just got to divide whatever number this is, you just divide it by itself. But what do you know? This is an equation, and this is something you will learn in algebra as we move on. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do it to the other side. So if I'm going to divide by 5 here, I'm going to divide by 5 on this side. So let's see what happens when we divide by 5. 5 divided by 5 is what? 1. So we end up with 1 share. And how much money is 1 share then? Calculators. Eh? What? I back check that there, please. 300 divided by 5. So that means 1 share is $60. Now, look at this. If you know how much 1 share is, isn't it easy to find out how much more than 1 share is? So if you want 2, what number you're going to multiply by, people? And by 2. If you want 6, how much you going to multiply by? By 6. If you want 25, you can multiply by 25. So the last step is 3. Multiply this. I hope I spell multiply again. Multiply this by the number of shares that you need. Honestly, when you remember this by like this, it's so easy to remember. Multiply this by the number of shares you need. Guys, I apologize for my handwriting. That tends to look like a doctor's handwriting sometimes online and in real life. I think everybody should be able to understand what I'm trying to write. You need. So let's go. So here, since we know, so let's answer each person's now. So we know 1 share, and this is the first time I'm going to teach you how to use maths language. There's some important words like since, hence, therefore. So this is how you start off by calculating your answer. You're going to say, after you do your calculations like this, so you find your 1 share, you're going to come and you're going to say, since 1 share is equal to $60, then who's the first person? Kim. Kim share, what would Kim share be? Since she got 2 shares, and 60 times 2. 60 times 2. Remember, I care about the working, fams. So that would be exactly 120. And then, and you're going to say, and who's the next person? Pam? How much is Pam's share? Pam's share going to be the 60. And instead of times 2, what am I going to multiply by? Times 3, which is $180. How do I back check this to see if it's correct? When I don't find everybody money, if I add back these 2 money, what must it give me back? In the total. So that's how you check back your answer. So if I add them, it must give me back the $300. It cannot be $300.50. No, it must be $300 flat. If you got it, say got it. So here, my loves, we have an easy example and the steps to go with the example. This is something you gotta learn and memorize for the rest of your life. Forever, forever, ever, forever, ever. Write this down, let's go. When you're done, sit down. Period.
Every word what the people say, whether they see, keep it to them.
All right, example 2. Write down example 2. It's an easy one, eh? Because obviously, I think I had a question. So let me just put this to the side. And example 2 here.
Don't leave me for an inch. Anything you want, got that big red smile, but my deadly dog. Hungry till I can barely walk more. Don't want you to look at my face. No, no, no food, I'm not covered dry. Only those are why you fight for. Don't want you to look at my face. No, he's the sweetest thing that you've ever seen. Selling her body wasn't in her dreams, no. Don't want you to look at my face. No. No, because we have a pleasant look. If you don't know the story, don't judge the book. Believe it or not. No one should look at my face. Even though it's not here, it's only for a while. It's not gathering the night, but I sweep my troubles underneath my pride. Yes, I'm not smiling. It's only for a while. In my favorite side, I will sweep my troubles underneath my pride.
Out comes the sun, shining on my face again. Words get behind, I'm so hard to meditate. Dreams of brighter days, my experience with days,
All right, ready for the second one?
dreams of brighter days,
Are you ready? Not yet. Okay. All right, I'm waiting, guys. And I want you to tell me what to do here because it's a bit different, yeah? So I'm going to read it for you and then we take it from there. Okay. Money is shared in a ratio of 2 to 3 to 4. The smallest share received $500. How much money does the others receive? Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to follow the steps. So, in this example, we know step number 1 says identify the matching quantities. Do we have total and total for this example? Yes or no? I'm not proceeding until most persons answer the question. Do we have the total quantities in this example? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you that you are wrong. So I'm going to ask you to read again. It did not say the total money shared. It said something special. What is that special word? Can anybody type it for me? What is the key word here that changes this question? Thank you, darlings, Javin and Nahil. Thank you, Gavisha. Everybody see what I'm saying here? They did not give us the total money shared. They gave us the smallest share money. So what quantity should I have matched? Shouldn't I therefore match the smallest money with the smallest ratio? So it should be smallest share is equal to the smallest money. Talk to me, guys. So how much shares would that be in this? Exactly. It would be 2 shares. And what would this 2 shares be equal to, darlings? What should I put this equal to, darlings? Exactly, $500. Excellent, excellent. What do I do next? Once I have my equation, I should always try to find 1 share. So somebody, what should I do here next? You have to tell me. Excellent job. Does everyone else agree? Because we need to change 2 into 1. So we're going to divide by 2. Whatever you do on one side, you have to do on the other. So here we end up with 1 share is equal to how much money, darlings? Calculators, please. $250. So let's go. So your answer, it says how much money does the others receive? How much other persons are there? So how much answer should we have? There's 2 other persons. You see, answer the question I asked. I said, how much other persons are there? I didn't ask how much persons are there in all. You see me? Hello? Should I get Jamaican in here? So you need the answer for the 2 others. So this is the trick. So you would say, this is how you just pass maths. You must say the first person is the 2 shares. Agreed? And that person, they tell us, get $500. The second person, how much shares that person get again? How much the person get? 3? So how do we write that to get we full marks though? I don't care about the answer. How do we get the full marks? So we're gonna say 3 shares is equal to what? What's the working? What 2 things gotta multiply? Nobody? Somebody? Anybody? Thank you, Gavisha. Thank you, Dante, for saving the class because I was just about to get lit. I was just about to say, what? Nobody ain't answering? So it will be 250 times 3. You have to show this, guys. So that is where you would get your 750. And then your answer for the last person would be what? Third person is, how much shares the third person got? The third person got 4 shares. So 4 shares is equal to the 250 times the 4 is equal to how much? 1,000. Everybody see how you get your full marks? If you got it, say got it. So these are the things I wanna focus in on. Reading. 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 We gotta pay attention to the details, okay? And that's why I say a lot of things and I repeat it over and over because these are the things I have to get you guys to lock in. So the first step said to match equal quantities. They did not, it's easy for us to find the total shares by adding all of this, yes, but we got to pay attention to what money they gave us. They gave us the smallest money. So that means the smallest money has to be matched with the smallest share. And from there, it should be easy because from there, you just go and you divide to find 1 share. And so as you should notice is that the 1 share is actually the most important thing. Once you know what 1 share is, you could calculate any amount of shares. And that's what we did by multiplying by 3 and 4 because those individuals had 3 and 4 shares. All right, guess what? We finished with ratio. Now we're going to do proportion and we're going to end class with that. But let me know if anybody copying down this still. Take a picture. So we're gonna do what I call rates. 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 Gonna move this over and just write down over here rates. Okay. So I am just going to break this down two ways and by using examples. That's the best way for me to teach this, is just by using examples. Okay, my loves? So just walk with me.
DJ Styles, baby.
Talk about love, talk about trust, talk about baby, talk about us. Even my world,
DJ Styles.
think to my
Your
God.
music just
Even when I think it's just because you don't understand. Oh, girl, if I take on my bed, baby, I'm gonna be your soul provider. And baby,
All right, guys, y'all ready for me? So let's just bust through this quick. So wherever you reach, if you're writing still or not, just pay attention and we go from there, okay? Now, rates is similar to ratio. That's why I taught ratio first. So essentially, they're going to tell you a bunch of things cost this one price. How do you know how much one thing costs? It's the same process. So don't we match the two quantities? Do you agree or do you disagree? So instead of shares, what are we having here? We have articles, right? So we're going to write 26 articles is equal. That's where you see is equal $214.50. The first question asks us to find one article. Can anybody tell me what to do to find one? Let me see if we're making the connections, we're transferring learning. How do I find the value of one article? What do we do? Excellent. Divide by what? Excellent. Excellent job, guys. Everybody agree with them? They say the same thing, just like ratios, except it's not shares. No, it's actual objects. So we divide by 26. Whatever you do on one side, you have to do on the other side. Because that way, this going to give us what? One article. Calculators, please, everybody. Drop the answer in the chat. So Gav says 825. Is that true? Okay, Kazuri says 825. Let's go. Everybody else confirming? Please don't sit back and wait for other people to work it out and then that's why everybody have an answer. And the only person who gained the full marks is Glenisha because she gave me where you think she gonna get the full marks compared to everybody else? What does she have in her answer that everybody else forgetting? You can't be dealing with money. Look at all my working. Look at everything that I do. Look at every single thing that I do. Look at it. Do I write anything that I know should be money without the dollar signs? Learn to make this a habit. No, it makes a difference between full marks and partial marks. So our answer is going to be $8.25 dollar sign. All right, can anybody tell me the answer for 2 without me telling you or working it out? All I want is the answer. How would you get the cost of 15 articles now? Sure, 1650. Kazuri said 123.75. Anybody else? I still forgetting my I got to put on my gangster accent now because you see, people forgetting it. Thinking I gotta jump to the screen and put my finger in your face, like come on, just give me my money, give me my money. Thank you. Excellent job. How do we get that though? What should be the working? What is my working? What is my working? What is my working? What did y'all do to get that? So that is correct. So let's get our full marks now. So what should I have? I should have what? Multiply what? The value of 1, which is 8.25, times what? Excellent, times 15. So don't forget, working is more important than the answer. What was the answer again? 123.75? That's what it was? Pretty simple, right, guys? I'm just gonna give you, but this one was an easy one, but CXC will never give you a question like this. They will never give it to you so easy. They're gonna ask you to jump straight from that to the cost of another amount, and which is what I'm going to teach you now. So copy down this example, and then
There's nothing in the heart unless it's enough, you just bust it down when it's gonna shine. Oh, you're not seeing, you're jumping out there. My life is so that
DJ style.
okay.
Number one.
nobody knows the water was a killer. Oh, well, I feel on the floor. Oh, I know me. No matter the time to breathe, I feel so shut up. No matter the time to breathe, I feel blocking up.
Oh, what a night.
So I'm gonna teach you a different way, a short way, a direct way with this example. When you're ready, say ready.
Dancing to a reggae song. Wasn't working with the love. Only had to talk about DJ style. From my skin. That's just fun of my chin. Ich liebe low, baby. Just the two of us. There's never movement. Gives me a rush. Whoa. Wine some more. Show me that love. Unconditional.
Big girl, number one DJ.
All right, my loves. No. This is now a more realistic example of a question that can come, and it does not require you to go and find the cost of 1 egg. Right? It requires you to use a concept in algebra that we use a lot in consume. So I need everybody to lock in. Okay. The first thing we're gonna do is just like what we did before, with a small change. And this is how that change is going to look. The first sentence give us our matching data. Do you agree? Agree or disagree? Because what words stand out to us here? And this is where you use your pencil to highlight important data. Another thing that you need to look at is the meaning of these words that you should know. I should use red so it can stand out to me, right? So dozen and 540. Aren't those two words the words that we need to pay attention to? What does the word dozen mean? 12. So that means they gave us how much eggs? So 12 eggs is equal to $5.40. No, nobody expect you to go do this long thing, divide by 12, find one, blah, blah. If they ask you to find one first, then fine. But there's a short way. And this is where you use algebra. So check this out now. What is the cost of 25 eggs? So we write eggs on the left-hand side. So what would I write over here? I would write 25 eggs. And do we know the value of that? No. So how do we represent an unknown value in maths? We use a variable. And what you think the most popular variable is used when you can't find something? X. So let's pause here. Everybody understand how we got these two statements? Because sometimes they just ask you, they will literally say, write two statements to find the answer. And students will be like, what two statements? This is the two statements. The first statement came from the information that they gave you. And the second statement is based on you finding the missing value. If you got it, say got it. Watching, if you don't got it, don't be afraid to tell me you know got it, okay? That's why Mr. V is here. Mr. V is here to help you, my friend. I'm watching the chat because I got some people, I ain't see them say nothing for the whole entire night. I may want to know what's going on. Is it me? No, this is where things get sticky but not sticky. So everybody understand the two statements, and this is what we do now to find X. Anytime you have this is what you call the rates partner. So you're gonna cross multiply. So you're gonna cross multiply diagonally, right? So forming what shape? What shape is diagonally? An X, right? So you're gonna multiply these two first. And I'm gonna explain to you why you want these two first. Because you want X on your left-hand side. So what does that mean? Let's ignore the X part. Or should we leave the X part? Let's ignore the X part. Or let's leave the X part. I'll leave it. So you're gonna be X, sorry, let me use the same color so you can see it clearly. X times 12 eggs is equal to 25. No, let me just take out the X. Let me just leave the variables and the constants, right? Because they're gonna be confusing. So let's just work on the numbers. But everybody understand, over here is money, over here is eggs. Yeah, okay. So it's gonna be X times 12 is equal to 25 times 540. Because how did I get that? We multiply across. Everybody see that? So let's go. What is X times 12? We know X times 12 is just 12X. What is the answer on your right-hand side? What is 25 times 540? $135? All right, so for neither one of the classes have we reached to transposing yet. That's actually something we're gonna do this week. So if I do it now and it's not clear, don't panic. I'm gonna teach it from scratch in class this week, okay? But there's something that you're gonna learn called transposing. Transposing means you do the opposite to get rid of the things that you don't want. So for example, we know that subtraction is the opposite of addition. So if I got an addition and I want to get rid of something, I subtract. We know that division is the opposite of multiplication. So if I am multiplying two things and I want to get rid of one of them, I do the opposite, and instead of times, I do what? Divide. So here, what do you think we want? We want X because X is the unknown number. Are you with me? If you're with me, say with you. Talk to me, talk to me. We want, so we got this question, we got this equation, and we only want X. That means we need to get rid of who? We need to get rid of 12. What is happening between the 12 and the X? In times. So we need to do what? The opposite, which is what? Division. And we know that whatever you do to one side, you have to do it on the opposite side to maintain balance. So this gonna cancel. So 12 and 12 gonna cancel. So what is gonna be left back? X, which is the thing that we want. And the answer that we get on the other side is the answer for X. So what is 135 divided by, so that's 1125? 1125. Everybody see that? Let's do it the long way to back check. Let's do it the long way. We're gonna do it the long way. Eh? Let's do it the long way. Somebody tell me how much one egg is. So we got 12 eggs is 540. Let's back check this doing the long way. So 12 eggs is 540. What is one egg? So that means we would divide by 12 over here in it. So one egg is what? Talk to me, peoples. 540 divided by 12. 222. 222. That's a rounded off figure now. There's no way 12 eggs cost $5, how one egg costs $2.22, guys? Check your calculator again. See? So it's 45 cents. So if we want 25 eggs, multiply 0.45 times 25. Tell me how much you get. Ladies and gentlemen, do you see it? Do you see it, darlings? Do you see it? No. These are the two ways you can work this out. The reason why you need to learn this way though, is because this concept you're going to use a lot. This is a skill, and you're going to hear me when I teach certain things, when I say it's a skill, that means that's something you're going to do a lot. So it's something you have to know how to do. Okay? Should I do one more example like this before we go on? I would just do it. And all you gotta do is copy it though and just watch. Should I do one more? So let me do one more and that's it for class. So remember, this was this was the method 1. This is method 1 of how to work out this question, and this was method 2. Because you always got more than one way to work out something once it makes sense, right? Okay. So let's do another one. Last one. This is the last one, and then class is done here. So this will be what, example 3. So example 3.
When you run something in my arms, that's if you reggae song. Feel good, feel good. I feel good. Because the perfume is now that only I can talk about. Feel good, feel good. Oh, la, 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 la. Oh, what am I? Oh, la, 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 la.
I'm gonna say, here comes trouble, here comes the danger. Send by the Savior, welcome to the flag. I know you're starting to
Sure, no problem, no. I'm gonna move it back over to you,
here
okay?
comes trouble, here comes the danger. Welcome to Savior, welcome to the flag. You're not to ask me soon. I think in a bad, so in a body.
All right. Also, something I need to tell y'all that y'all don't know. Everybody on probation at the moment. What do I mean by probation? You guys chose me as your maths teacher. I hope that I have been able to provide an excellent teaching experience for you. I intend on giving you a anonymous survey. I'm gonna make anonymous. You don't have to say who you are to give your feedback, and you just gotta be respectful, obviously, to give me any insight on your experience so far, in terms of the way I teach, the way I explain, give me any feedback that you would like me to make any adjustments in any case, and stuff like that. And on my end, I will be doing the same. And if I feel as though any student is not committed to their progress, their learning, you would also be removed from class. So there are 2 periods for this. This is the first period, and then the second period comes down to when it's registration time. Actually, there's 3. So you see, I'm being honest. There's three. The first one is before the ending of this term. The second one is just before registration, because registration is opening soon for June exams. So I would register students who I feel like I could trust to go all the way and work hard and give their best effort. And then the last phase is where teachers are given a certain time to withdraw students. So if you feel like you're not consistent with attending classes, if you do not complete my homework assignments, if you don't try in class, if you don't respond to questions, communicate when I ask you to, these are the things that I would be paying attention to and looking forward to. And these are things I would also provide feedback in the report, because at the end of each term, each student gets a report, whether given to you if you're an adult student or to your parents. So please keep in mind that these are the things that are happening, right? So I expect everybody to continue to do their very best. All right, so let's keep going. And just a heads up, nobody on the chocolate block yet. Everybody, to be honest, has been working really well and committed, and I'm really proud of you guys. So it's just for y'all to keep it up and to keep going. So let's do this one quick. So we have a 5 kg bag of peas classes. So we know this is our equation 1. So that's 5 kg is equal to 1790. And so what they ask us for is what is the cost of a 9 kg bag? So that means 9 kg would go here because that's what we want, and X would be the value that we need. So we know we cross multiply. You always cross multiply first with the X value, because where do you want the X? You want the X in front. And then you multiply the second two on your right hand side. So on your left hand side, we would have 5 times X, which is 5X. And then we would have 9 times 1790. Calculator people, talk to me. So 5x would be equal to what? Guys, I need her to start doing this for me. 9 times 17. Even if you estimate that. No way. 9 is almost like 10. You could round off 9 to 10. So it's like saying 10 times 17. You see what I mean? So that's something you could help you with estimate. I think we're going to do, somebody write this down for me. I need somebody to do this for me. In class, for both Mondays and Tuesdays, estimation session. Estimation session. This is extremely important. So thank you guys for making that mistake, because that just reminds me that I have to do this. So this is something that we're going to do. Remind Miss V. Remind Miss V to do this. This is the first thing we're going to do tomorrow and Tuesday. Okay? All right. So now that we back check it and we fix it, so it is 161. Why y'all telling me 161.1? Why y'all telling me 161.1? When y'all know we dealing with what? We dealing with money. So what's the answer? Thank you. Don't forget, guys, these are the things that make a difference in your answer in your scores. So it's not 161.1, but it's 161.10, because that one actually don't represent 1, it represents 10 cents. All right, so we divide by 5 on both sides. So let's go. So X is equal to, what's the answer when we divide by 5? Should be 30 something, $30 and change. $35, 32. Yeah, 32.22. But everybody see how that is? Pretty simple, right? You just cross multiply and then you divide, and then that's your answer. If you got it, say got it. All right, I need to go back to the beginning of the list. So for persons who didn't write this, take a picture because I have to go back to end class. I need to go back to the original list. So take a picture if you need to. Don't forget to write this in your books to remind me as well. I just need at least one person to remember. All right, so let's get back to our list. So today, where's the list? We were able to accomplish ratio, rates. We did not do proportions. So next week, Sunday, I'm hoping that we could do these. I think we could bang out these here next week, Sunday. Profit and loss easy, tax and discount easy. The newest thing that you probably might learn is finding the original price, but proportion and best buy are similar. So yeah. So this is what we're gonna do next Sunday. Yeah. So the last thing I need everybody to do is out of 10, I want you to grade your understanding of everything we did in terms of how you felt the session went. Do you think that this is working? Do you feel like you understood everything that we did? I'm watching the chat. There are 29 people in here. Should I send the YouTube link for this class? Okay, so what I'm gonna do now then, so that you could always go back and rewatch it if you need to. And then what I'm gonna also do is we're gonna have a class, one class, we're gonna just do a lot of practice. But I prefer to finish the topics and then we could do that, okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your dedication today. That's it for class. See you this week. Bye.